All right, guys, that concludes the configuration of your food blog. In this next video, I'm going to give you an overview of the back end of WordPress. We're going to go through step by step each of the menu items on the left-hand side. I'm going to tell you exactly what they do and what you're going to use them for. I just want to warn you that this is a pretty long lesson, so take your time, go through it slowly, and don't get overwhelmed. There's not going to be much configuration that you're going to be needing to do in this video. I'm basically just giving you an overview of what each item will do. This may be a little intimidating to you guys at first, but there's one thing that I want to assure you before you get too nervous, and that is there's really nothing that you can do back here in the back end of your blog that can seriously damage the blog itself. So, in other words, you can pretty much fix anything that you sort of mess up, for lack of a better word, in the back end. Now, that being said, there's really not much you can mess up, but I just want you guys to be, feel a little easy about working back here. Once you get this down, it's pretty easy. So we're going to start from the top at the dashboard. Me personally, I don't spend too much time on the dashboard. It does give you some notifications, like, for example, the Foodie Pro theme recommends that you install these plugins. Now, I don't use some of these, so I would just kind of dismiss that. Other than that, you may install some plugins that I did not go over that may have some things here, some stats, but for the most part, I don't really pay too much attention to the dashboard. Where I do spend most of my time, or where you will spend most of your time, is in this section here under posts. Now, think of a post as a recipe. So every time you create a new recipe, you are going to create a post. Okay? So if you come over here to this blog, essentially these are all posts. And that's basically what it is. And it's real simple. If you were to add a new post, you would come to posts, add new, and then you would kind of build the post from here. Don't worry about this. We do have an upcoming lesson on getting your first recipe up on your blog. So you're not going to have to worry about any of these settings today. We will go over them in the upcoming lessons. There are some, you can create categories. So, this, if you come to Simple Fresh Kitchen, there are, if I come here, there's like a recipe section, a desserts section, an ingredients section. So these are essentially our categories. We'll go over that as well. But for now, all you really need to know is that this is where you are going to create your recipes. Now, your media section, this is where you will post, or you will upload your video. You will upload your media, whether it be videos or images or whatever, a PDF, ebook, anything like that is going to go in this media library. Now, truthfully, you're not going to really access it too often through the media link here. Oftentimes what you'll do is when you're inside a post, you'll come to, or you'll use this add media button, and basically it's just sort of linking back to this media section. But if you need to grab an image or a link, to your image, you can go directly to the media folder or area and grab an image or video or whatever. Now, pages are similar in the way that they look as a post. The difference is a page will not show up in your feed. Basically, what you're going to use pages for are things like About Me. Now, the way that you can think of this is any page that is static, that stays sort of in place at all times, will normally be a page. So, in other words, the contact page, the About Me page, those will always be. They're not dynamic. They're not going to change. They're going to stay the same. That sort of information you're going to want to put on a page. But things like recipes that are going to be dynamic, so let's suppose you do multiple recipes per week, this will change, right? So this is the latest one, then you have the second one, and then so on and so forth. So the difference, just so that you guys know, a page is usually something static. A post is usually something that is dynamic. So your recipes will be posts, and your the About Us, the contact page will all be pages. But they work very similar to a post. So if you click a page, you'll see that it's identical to what a post looks like. So add new post, add new page. It looks identical, and they work the same way in the back end. Now, comments are going to just be when someone leaves, let's say, a comment on your recipe down here. This is where you're going to check them and you can reply to them. So this area, basically, whenever you get a new comment, it'll come in this area. You'll see a little orange indicator that there is a comment there. You'll come here and you can moderate the comment from here, whether you want to reply or, in this case, it'll come in like this where you have to approve it. So that's that. We'll approve that. So the content part here, this actually is your Contact Form 7 plugin. And what that does is gives you this form. So this is where the actual form is created. And usually they have a default form that you can use. And we'll go through this a little later on in the course. But for now, this is this plugin, and it's how you get people to contact you. The next thing below is Genesis. This is in the beginning, when we installed this framework by Genesis, we essentially added these, well, not these two, but these options here. This gives you some theme options that we will go through a little later, but for now, just know that this is sort of where the settings are. Now, appearance, there's a lot of things going on in appearance. You have your themes, you can customize your website from here, which we will go through all of these coming up. There's a lot going on in the appearance. There are your widgets, your menus, your header. Now we've actually gone through we actually have created a menu, and I'll go more in depth in what the rest of these things are coming up. Also, if you take a look here, this fixed widget option, this was a plugin that we installed. So again, we'll go through this, but for now, this is where you're going to find your menu and your widgets and so on. You know what plugins are, so I'm not going to go through these. This is where all of your users will be, so you can edit your username, passwords and email addresses. This is sort of like the settings for all of the users that sign up to your, for your blog. And by the way, when you leave a comment, when someone leaves a comment on your blog, oftentimes, if you have your blog set up that way, they will have to create a new account with the blog. And this is the area that it will go in. This will also be where you create different usernames. So if you have other people who are accessing your blog, whether it be your partner or your friend or your mother or whoever, this is where you would add them. Now, tools, there's a good chance you'll never be in here. This is nothing that we're going to go over. We're rarely in there. There are some backup tools that, to back up your blog. There are some things that we can put in here, but for now, we're just going to leave it alone. Your settings, we went in here in, I believe, the third or fourth or fifth video. We made some changes to the general settings here. You won't be in here too often, other than, I take that back. You'll be in here to configure these plugins. You see the social icons is a plugin. The Mail Munch is a plugin. Quick AdSense is a plugin, and we'll go through these again, so don't worry if you don't know what they are. XML Sitemap is a plugin that we installed, and you can look through these if you want to see what they control or what they do. Some of them are pretty straightforward, like the social icons. What that does is it's going to give you these icons over here, which we will go through. Mail Munch is actually this, where you can collect email addresses when people, want to download your books or whatever. Quick AdSense, this is how you're going to get the ads. So these ads, this is how you're going to get those on the website, and we'll go over that as well. And this sitemap, we'll go over this as well at another time, but this is basically how you tell Google that, how you give them, or how they can learn the structure of your blog so that they can rank it in Google when you type in, like chicken recipe or whatever. And we'll go through that more as well. Super Cache, I'm going to leave that alone. Basically, that just helps your website get a little bit faster, and it sort of saves. Well, let's ignore that for now. But we'll leave that alone. You're not going to ever have to go in there other than to clear your cache when you want your changes that you've made. Like if you make changes to your website, like let's say you change the color of something and it doesn't change, you're going to clear your cache and it will change. And we'll go over that again as well throughout the course. But I just wanted to give you sort of a long-winded, quick overview of the back end settings of WordPress. I know I sort of went through them fast, but don't worry, we will go through these as the course progresses.